What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're gonna take a look at the criminally underrated Werewolf of London, made in 1935. Yeah, I like Werewolf of London. I think this is a decent Universal monster movie. I don't think this movie is on the same level as the Wolf Man that came out 6 years after this, but for what it is, I enjoyed Werewolf of London. I got respect for this movie. Like, this is the first movie to feature the werewolf as a full-blown, character and monster, and I appreciate them. I appreciate it for that. Not only that, I think this movie kind of has a very decent, solid cast to it. We got Henry Hull, who plays Dr. Winifred Glendon, who is like this botanist trying to look for this rare plant that only grows under the moon, under the light of the moon. He's also the titular werewolf character. I thought Henry Hull did a decent job as a character of Wilfred Glendon. I don't think his character is as likable or as memorable as Lawrence Talbot, played by Lon Chaney Jr. But for this movie, I thought that Hull did an overall decent job. He did a decent job. I enjoyed his performance for the most part. There are some areas where I do think his character can borderline on being unlikable, especially when he's interacting with his wife and his wife's former lover from when she was a child, and the whole love triangle thing I wasn't really too crazy about. But other scenes I did enjoy, especially the scenes that he has with the character called Dr. Yogami, played by Warner Orland, who was actually the werewolf that bit Glendon when he was in Tibet. Speaking of which, Warner Orland, who played the character of Dr. Yogami, I like the character of Dr. Yogami. I think this movie kind of telegraphs right away that Yogami was the werewolf that bit Glendon. I think it should have been more of a mystery. And not only that, I don't think this movie, and it's not only that, this movie kind of like shoved it in your face that that there's something off about Yogami. I would not have done that. I would not have telegraphed Yogami being a villain to the Glendon character. I actually would have had Yogami befriend Glendon and have the both of them do research together on this rare moonflower. And then when you get to the end, you do the big reveal that it was Yogami all along. That's how I would have handled the Yogami character. Not only that, I actually would have had both Glendon and Yogami in full-blown wolf form have a monster brawl at the end of the movie. I think the climax of this movie is one of the weakest parts of this entire movie. Pretty much when Glendon finds out Yogami was the one that did him, he kills him, and then he gets shot by the police, and then he reverts back to his human form. It all happens within a span of 3 to 5 minutes. Very rushed and very underwhelming. You could have done so much more with the Yogami character, and especially with his relationship with the Glendon character. But for what we got, it was decent, but you could have done more. Valerie Hobbs, who plays the wife Lisa, Glendon's wife Lisa, she was fine in the role. She was in Bride of Frankenstein, and in this movie she was okay too. Nothing really much to say about the character of Lisa. She and Valerie Hobson and Henry Hull, they don't really have the world's greatest on-screen chemistry with one another, and it's really hard for me to buy them as a married couple, mainly because the movie focuses more on Lisa and her relationship with her former beau named Paul. They kind of have more screen time together, and they feel more like a married couple than Glendon and than Wilfred and Lisa. That's just how I interpret when I watch the movie. That's just how I feel, to be honest with you. I do appreciate this movie for what it is, but it does have things that are really lacking for me. I think for what it is, the werewolf makeup, it's simple in this movie, but to be fair, this was the first time you're doing a werewolf on screen, so for what this movie gave us in terms of wolf makeup, it looked fine for what it was. It maybe borderline a little too much on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but I thought the overall look of the wolf was okay. It was decent for what it was. Not a big fan of the wolf of Henry Hull, of the Dr. Glendon character still having his intelligence when in wolf form. Because when you watch the movie, he doesn't act like a feral animal like Lon Chaney did in The Wolfman, where he turns into a completely different thing. In this one, he turns into a monster, yes, but he still has he still has his intelligence intact. He just has this curse which forces him to kill. I didn't like that. That I don't like. That's where it borderlines on being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde-ish, and you're not doing enough to differentiate the Dr. Glendon from his alternate persona of the werewolf. That's another thing that I think this movie could have done a little bit better and much more better than what it actually did. That's just me personally. Some of the humor in this movie doesn't really land for me. There's this section of the movie where Glendon is trying to isolate himself, and he's trying to rent a room, and he talks to these two characters named Mrs. Whack and Mrs. Moncaster, and for like a good couple of minutes, these two are just like bantering back and forth with comedy that I did not find humorous whatsoever. And the whole running gag of this other woman calling Dr. Yogami Dr. Yokohama, it was funny the first couple of times, and then the movie kind of dragged the joke out way too much than it should have. So yeah, the movie's humor is a mixed bag for me. It didn't really work in a lot of areas. But other than that, I do like the movie, despite the many, many criticisms I had for it. I do like it. I think this movie does have a very good atmosphere to it. I like the production design. I think the cast overall did a really good job. If anything, this movie's story could have been handled much, much better. Its humor could have been better integrated. The werewolf makeup, as simple as it was effective for the time that it was made. Of course, once we get to the Lon Chaney era, that's where the werewolf makeup just became more iconic and just better looking. But for the purpose of this movie, it's fine. So yeah, I like it. I enjoy Werewolf of London. This, even though I took a lot of gripes with it, it's still got some enjoyable things that I do like. I do like when he's in wolf form and where he's attacking and chasing his victims. Well, that stuff is fun. Well, that stuff is cool. That's what I want to see in my werewolf movie. And that's what this movie gave me. And I also like the conflict that Glendon has trying to find a cure for his wolfism. I like that stuff too. It makes you feel sorry for the guy. Like, he's not a bad person, and he's trying to get rid of the curse. So I like all that stuff. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on The Werewolf of London. At the end of the day, I'm going to give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. If you've never seen it, I do recommend it just because it was the first werewolf movie to be put on film. Just so, for historical significance, I say give it a watch. But yeah, those are my thoughts, 6.5 out of 10. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.